one I made earlier. All right. That'll do instead of a title. Hello.
Good morning.
And welcome to another show, which I just realised I didn't put my lights on behind me. I have lights behind me now, but I didn't put them on.
We're the worst show ever.
Should I put the lights on? I don't have a producer. Like shows
Are you even awake? Good morning,
Barely.
everyone.
I have to
Welcome
take
to
my
the Chuck
headphones
Whelon
off.
show.
Wait, I'm going to put the lights on. Hang on.
All right. For the uninitiated, this is a show where we watch my pal Chuck Whelon, master cartoonist and children's book illustrator, draw. And I will be asking him questions about how he draws and what materials he uses. Chuck will then badly answer these questions.
How about that?
Okay, I just explained why we're here.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Get the title. I think you still have the title image in the. Yeah, that blows up your drawing.
I'm going to show another video now. This is another slightly older video that I made. This is my drawing of Diana Rigg and Helen Mirren, which I think I actually did on a show. But I'm going to do something similar today. All right.
That was probably when they acted together in Shakespeare, and I don't know if that was Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Yes, you're correct. You're very erudite to know that.
Yeah.
How did you know that?
I'm a fan.
There was a picture of them going around, and I was like, "Oh, that's a nice picture." You know, so I'll save a picture.
Amber's backstage. Amber's backstage.
Oh, Amber, she wants to come on the show.
Yeah, bring her on the show. Yay!
Why are you sending me links this morning?
Well, so I posted it in a thread on the laptop, and the thread on the laptop was still the old thread, I guess.
It's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time. Hi. What? Okay. I gotta give Dale a hard time. How's your homework?
I'm not doing my homework.
Yeah, because you're not doing your homework. Okay. The only way to get it done is to do it. She says, knowing that's advice for herself.
Yeah, I know.
Wait.
No, I've got to finish the lettering and then put it in position.
So just to let your viewers know, Dale has employed me to be his like art coach, and I have been giving him homework to do so that he can finish his comic, and he's not doing it. And he should have had it done on Monday, and then Thursday we were supposed to get together, and it still wasn't done.
It still isn't done.
No. And the only person who can do it is you, Dale.
That's right. I'm a bad example, kids.
Yes.
I will say
that I have had things come up in the meanwhile.
Okay, so what's the block? Is it just time?
No, there's all sorts of excuses that come up that get in the way, like taking care of my buddy, trying to get her to a lawyer.
Yeah.
All my folks. But I will put like you would advise, set up at least an hour each day for me to work on it. And that I'm trying to do. So
yeah. Yes, excellent. I see tools. What are we using?
I've got like a Winsor & Newton. Wait, I'm not sure.
A Winsor & Newton Series 7 Sable?
This is a U
number 2 brush?
Yeah, no, it's not actually though. It's a U-Trek number 2. Where did that come from? Wait, I've got to put my glasses on and see what I'm doing here.
I have to admit, I love the Winsor & Newton Series 7 Sable. I will be sad when they stop getting sable hairs for it.
Yeah,
Really?
this is a Vermeer.
Yeah,
detox.
because of animal rights,
Yeah.
groups and
cruel
stuff
to
like that. They
animals.
say that it's cruel to the sables to harvest the hair, despite the fact that the sables are kept alive and it's just tail hair. They don't like the way that they're kept, and they don't like the way that they're raised, and so they've been complaining about this for a while. And a lot of sable farms have shut down, which is why the price of the brushes have gone up.
Oh, because I still see the brushes for sale, and I didn't
Yeah,
know
the
if they
brushes
were
are still
old.
for sale. They're still sable farms, but you have to understand it's a growing it's a growing what is it? Growing control of a shrinking market.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can charge whatever they want, the sable farms, because there's very few sable farms, but then there's people like PETA who are trying to go after the sable farms and saying you're being cruel to the sables. And I mean, the sables are also raised for coats. They're I mean, it's a fur trade. So
I should never have gotten rid of all my fur coats, and I should have kept them to make brushes.
oh, why you had sable coats? Because mink doesn't work too well for brushes.
No, I don't know. They were mink. I had stolen a bunch of mink coats,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up
Say that very
getting
casually, Dale.
what?
You say that very casually.
Yeah, that you just kind of stole a bunch of mink coats.
Do you want to hear my mink coat story?
Sure, why not?
Chuck, is that all right with you?
Well, I would like to know how you. I'd like to hear the
I
whole
think
story.
Chuck
Why were
wants
you stealing the
context.
coats?
Okay, it all has to start with the TV show Dragnet. Have you ever seen the mink coat episode on Dragnet?
No.
You would have to see the episodes of Dragnet to see that episode. And
Okay.
Dragnet is not something that's in syndication most places.
No, but it's on Freevee for free.
Oh, well, I'd have to. I've been watching
Okay.
Pluto TV a lot, and I admit, not like the best of TV. I've been watching like court shows.
Okay, so once upon a time, I grew up with reruns of the Dragnet TV show with Jack Webb and Henry Morgan. And one of the famous episodes has to deal with burglars who have stolen mink coats, and they are trying to fence them. And part of the show is the guy who runs the mink store has to teach Henry Morgan how to sound like a mink coat dealer in order to run an undercover to get the mink coats back. So he learns about terms like tip dyeing and letting out the skins and something about the Grutzen. And you run your hand over the mink and says, ooh, stagey. That makes you sound like a mink coat dealer. So I've watched that episode a million times.
Of course you have.
And I was
Who hasn't?
helping out a friend whose grandparents were moving into assisted living. And in their garage, they had a handful of mink coats that they
and you can only think to yourself to run your hand over it and go, ooh, stagey.
Well, they hadn't stored them properly. You have to store actual skin coats properly. So they were just going to give them away for like people to make teddy bears and stuff out of them. And I asked if I could steal them because they were just going to give them away.
Now, if you're asking if you could steal it, that's not really stealing it.
It's stealing if you grab them and run to your car and they're waving behind you. No, don't steal our minks. That's technically stealing.
Did you ask him to say that?
I'm not going to go into that.
Stealing is borrowing without asking.
But when you ask,
it's not.
All
It's
right,
borrowing.
so I stole.
That's taking with style.
I stole the mink coats, and I'm standing by that. And so I'm driving around the Bay Area with a car full of hot minks, and I'm calling my friends who I work with and say, hey, I've got some stolen mink coats. Do you want one?
Mm-hmm.
And this is for my friends who are into cosplay
Yes.
and retro fashion.
Yes.
And they didn't believe me. None of them. And I'm like, no, really, I have a car full of hot stolen minks. Do you
That's
want one?
because they could sense that you asked for them.
No, it's because none of them believe me. So
Because you were lying. They
I
weren't stolen.
call my
Tell when
buddy.
you're lying.
I call my buddy Lizzie, and Lizzie is with her fiance and her
Ooh, big lips.
her fiance's parents at a barbecue joint up in Mountain View. It was Armadillo Willie's. And I tell Lizzie, hey, I've got some stolen mink coats. Would you like one? And of course, Lizzie's nuts, so she believes
Are
me.
you gonna regale us with the tales of giving away every single mink coat?
Only two. So I drive up to Armadillo Willie's, and my buddy Lizzie, who is a very lovely, intelligent woman. The only problem is she eats ribs like a 2-year-old. So she's covered in barbecue sauce. So
there's nothing wrong with that. Ribs are delicious.
So I send her off to the bathroom, and I'm telling her fiance, her husband now, Jeff, and his parents about how I stole the minks.
Mm-hmm.
And Lizzie comes out, and we get the minks out, and she does like a little fashion walk in the barbecue joint wearing these mink coats.
Yeah.
And she chooses the mink coat she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this little waitress, this beautiful blonde girl who's maybe 17, 18 years old, working at Armadillo Willie's, and her like eyes are like as huge as saucers.
And she got to walk out with the mink coat.
She's watching this, and like Jeff's parents, who I really owe for this, said, I'll let her try them on. And I said, so I tell the waitress, would you like to try some of them on? And she's like, and I let her put the minks on, and Jeff's dad kind of whispers to me, you ought to give her one. And I said, okay. And
so the waitress got to walk home with the mink coat.
So I gave her a mink. And so Lizzie's all happy. She is a mink, and this waitress is like, she's like crying.
We live in an amazing
age. Is this, are you trying to rebrand
hand
yourself
out mink coats? Here,
Right.
have one.
I want to
rebrand himself as some sort of like benevolent Cary Grant like figure.
The Santa Claus of mink.
I want to point out something to you, that when I die, I will go to Valhalla and I will sit with Sinatra and Elvis as a guy who tipped a waitress in a barbecue joint a mink coat. How many people can say they've done that?
I don't know if Frank Sinatra's going to Valhalla. The man didn't go to World War II. He got out because, I think he had like flat feet or something. Like it was some ridiculous reason.
Thank you for trying to ruin one of my best stories, Amber.
If Valhalla is a place of honor, and Frank Sinatra, as cool as he wasn't the most honorable of men.
All right, so I eventually got rid of the others, but then like days later, I start getting all of these phone calls from my friends who were just pissed off
that they didn't get a mink coat.
Yeah, they didn't get a mink coat, and I said, "Well, I called you, and I told you I was driving around with a car full of stolen mink coats."
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, why would we believe you? You should have made us believe.
How is this related to Dragnet? That's what I want to know.
Because I was reenacting the thieves in the movie, in the TV episode Dragnet. I had stolen hot minks.
You were cosplaying as Dragnet enemies.
Yes. I stole minks, and I never would have done it if it hadn't been for the episode. The funny thing is, Jack Webb's, I guess his stepson is online.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke to him, and I told him the mink story, and he was very happy.
Okay, let's go to art questions here for a second. What ink are you using, Chuck?
Higgins Black Magic, I hope.
Or yeah,
And then
better check.
And how
I'm
long
not
did
gonna
it
get
take
that.
you to do the red line sketch?
Well, initially it didn't take me very long. I had a version I did fairly quickly, and I tried inking it previously, and I wasn't really happy with it. And I had it sitting. I've been sort of going through a pile of things that needed going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that'll be a good one to do on the show, because Dale kind of likes the Avengers. Now, this is the original Avengers, not the Captain America Avengers.
Now,
No.
I don't know.
This is
Those were around before, so I get confused.
What was her name? Mrs. Peel in the Avengers? Yes.
Emma
So it's Steve and Mrs. Peel.
Yes, I just remember
Steve.
the umbrella that was also other things, and then they'd go in the phone booth, and like that's how they communicated with their. I don't remember very much from the British Avengers show.
Yeah, I don't know that much about it either. I found it rather strange.
I
And
rediscovered there's a Pluto TV channel that has old episodes of The Prisoner, and I'd never I heard of The Prisoner, and I know the plot of The Prisoner. I even know how The Prisoner ends, right? But I never actually watched The Prisoner, and it's very fascinating. It's a very cool show, the way that it's put together, and the way that they build on things, and
yeah,
you know, like the insanity this guy goes through, and they're gassed by bubbles every minute.
It's kind of his show. You know, he kind of did a show that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you know, so that's part of why it's so great.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just I've been rewatching old episodes of The Prisoner and again court shows. Ian and I have been rewatching Cheers for some reason.
Oh yeah, Tina and I did that a while back.
Yeah. So we're going through Cheers right now, and Kirstie Alley just joined the cast. So
I liked it with Kirstie Alley. I don't know originally. I never really liked Diane.
Yeah, Shelley Long, was full of herself, and I guess she was really difficult to work with. And so the cast and crew kind of filled her head with, "Yeah, you're bigger than the show. You should leave." So that she wasn't really fired. She kind of quit. But it was a welcome. She quit, and
she had a movie career.
She had like a 3-movie career.
I quite like that one she did with Bette Midler, where she's like a Shakespearean actress or something.
Yeah, but she didn't really do very much. It's kind of like Drew Edwards, the guy that was in ER. He thought he was bigger than that show too, and so he quit, and they killed his character with cancer, so his character could not come back. And he goes off, he makes like 1 or 2 movies, and then his career died because people knew him as the doctor on the show and not as like the actor he is.
Yeah. Are we talking about Anthony Edwards there?
Yeah.
Was that
Anthony Edwards? Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I said Drew Edwards. I was wrong.
Oh yeah, that would be Andrew Edwards. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
You have no idea how much of a religion the show The Prisoner was in the Bay Area.
Ooh.
They would have a guy named Scott Appel come on before and after each episode when it showed on PBS and explain to us what the episode meant.
Oh, thank you. He knew. He had the inside scoop.
Yeah, because no one knows what that show's about.
Well, it's very interesting. It's surrealist for sure. Like you can definitely take many interpretations out of it. And but you also think about some of the conversations and stuff that like the different guys have with the prisoner. I think he's what, number 9, I want to say. Yeah. And then you find out
he's number 6.
Number 6, thank you. And then you find out
I was watching Upside Down.
End of the series that number 1 is also him.
Spoilers.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. And so it's interesting. Yeah. It's so he's always trying to find number 1, but number 1's always out of reach. And then the bubbles come and spray him with gas.
The bubbles suffocate them, and the bubble is known as Rover.
Okay. Well, I just they're giant pink bubbles that float across the water, and the next thing you know, they go, ah.
Yeah, that's Rover. In my opinion, Rover, the whole show is about Rover. I think that Rover is an alien life form, and the whole village isn't there for the people being kept prisoner. They're there as animals to be examined by Rover. Because remember, in each one of the apartments, they have a lava lamp. Those are containing baby Rovers.
They can't just be lava lamps to try and make it look semi-futuristic in the 60s.
They still really work, by the way. My big lava lamp, I was looking at it last night, and I put up like a little star display thing next to it, and it looks really good. I'm sorry. It looks
Let's talk about futurism for a second, okay? There's an aesthetic that has a resurgence now called cassette futurism. And so cassette futurism is how the future looked in the 80s, because people thought that we were going to like use cassettes for things, and things are going to be blocky. And so think of like the device to discover life in Alien. It's a very blocky device. It's very quote unquote kind of 1980s device, right? But it's supposed to be from the future. But like obviously we went in a totally different direction aesthetically in reality than that. So there's this resurgence of cassette futurism where people are like recreating 1980s futuristic aesthetic. Yeah.
I mean, what's amazing is that we created something that was sort of far beyond anything that anyone could imagine, like in sci-fi, like the internet. Like that's like, they thought that was too fantastical.
Well, here's an interesting thing that like I was reading about is that in the 1980s, they didn't have a concept of a cell phone. Mid 80s, right? It wasn't until the late 80s that the first car phones came out, and then later on cell phones, right? Because the technology had to shrink from, the car to your pocket. And even then it wasn't your pocket. It was like this big giant brick thing. And they had to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So like the cassette futurism doesn't have cell phones. It has phone booths, and it has like information booths, and it has like the windows, where you're talking face to face to someone on a TV screen, but it looks like an old, not an LCD TV screen, but like an old TV screen. Why are you shaking your head, Dale?
Because I lived during the 80s and I'm a sci-fi fan. We had all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, we had the internet, and
internet goes back to the 60s.
We had that and AR in the movie Zardoz. We had cell phones in the TV show Space 1999.
I feel like I've fallen in a time warp.
All right.
Is it early 2023?
So just to let you know that Google backs you up by saying that the first public cell phone was a Motorola Dynatac 8000X, which was released in 1973. So that says that's the very first actual cell phone that the public could own.
Wow.
There was even wristwatches with cell phone capability.
Dick Tracy had the communication wristwatch, and so did Superman. Superman had one that with the camera guy, with the redhead.
Yeah, Star Trek had him too.
Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen, thank you. Jimmy Olsen had the wristwatch that you could talk to Superman, and that goes back to the 50s. And again, Dick Tracy goes back to what, the 30s?
I think so.
Let's see. Tracy.
They still just didn't really have the idea that you could access. Like one of Robert Heinlein's later books, Friday, which I think was later in the 80s. He goes on, like, she finds like a library, or like she has access to all the world's books.
October 4th. 1931 was the first Dick Tracy. Isn't that crazy?
Even movies as recent as Steven Spielberg's AI they
It's not really
didn't
recent.
correctly predict the internet because they had the main character going to Dr. No.
Yeah.
That would just be something you would look up on your cell phone.
Yeah.
Now, stylistically, I look at stuff in the Apple Store, and Apple in the early 2000s, they went full space 1999. They had the white iMacs, the white iPods. It was just obviously IKEA and Space 1999 influenced. But now if you go in the store, it's all this aluminum, it's all these boxes. It is obvious that it is being influenced by Star Wars: The Empire.
You know, people could argue that Apple's been very empire-ish for a while.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like let's talk
People
about
like the
all
Empire. The Empire's good now.
No, let's talk about all of the layoffs that have been going on in the tech industry lately.
Yes. What about them? Who's been laid off? Yes.
Well,
Like
the
Google laid
advantage
off.
of that is they reset
Yeah.
salaries.
They're all being replaced by AI. Google doesn't need all these people anymore because they've invented AI, so the AI can do it all.
Mommy, we're doing.
Yes, I see that, baby. I'm keeping her occupied while her father works.
Give her a hug.
I will give her a hug. Yeah, she's a cutie pie.
So, Chuck, are you an Avengers fan?
I don't understand the Avengers. I was hoping actually to have you on the show explain the premise of the Avengers because I didn't really understand it. It's like some hot woman in like fat leather getup.
It's Mission Impossible from Britain.
And an English guy with an umbrella who he's kind of a freaky looking guy.
Yeah, it's Mission Impossible, but from England.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like Mission Impossible.
They do like espionage and stuff. You know, they're like it's always spies and bad guys.
By the time I was conscious of it, it was like the new Avengers, which everybody said wasn't as good, so I didn't really understand any of it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, in the United States, they didn't necessarily see all of the Avengers episodes.
Yeah.
So there were episodes in black and white with Honor Blackman. Who was the female protagonist.
Was she Mrs. Peel too, or was she somebody else?
No, she was a different character. But the average Avengers fan in the United States did not see those. What they ended up seeing were I think it started with the 4th season, where they retooled the show. And so the two characters were Patrick McNee, who played John Steed, who is a spy. And they never really say the name of the organization. And Emma Peel, who is a widow, who you never really know what the relationship is between the two of them. They say that she's an amateur. So she's sort of John Steed's assistant. And depending on which actor you asked after the show was over, were John Steed and Emma Peel lovers? Diana Rigg would say no, and Patrick McNee would say yes. They were hopping into bed after every episode.
I don't think so. I mean, wasn't he gay?
No, he wasn't gay.
What?
But the neat thing about the show is it was very surreal because it was the 60s. So it was kind of like Wild Wild West, which was a 60s kind of.
We never got that one in England. I don't think that one came across.
One 1960s comic I've been rereading is My Old Modesty Blazes.
Oh, yeah, okay. I used to like those, the way they were drawn, but again, I didn't really understand them.
Beautifully drawn, but again, it's all espionage and spy work.
Yeah.
You know, you have to remember that like they were hardcore in the middle of the Cold War. in the 60s, and it was very alive to them that like you had to protect national secrets, and there's people
Yeah.
trying to get your national secrets.
Well,
Yeah.
in the 60s, we had James Bond mania. So
Mhm.
you had all of these shows that were trying to ride on the coattails of James Bond. So the
Mhm.
ones that we've mentioned so far, the Avengers, Mission Impossible. There was also Man from Uncle,
Mhm.
Girl from Uncle, I Spy.
Yeah, we had Man from Uncle.
Mhm. And
I
then
Spy.
what was the one that Mel Brooks did where the
Get
guy
Smart.
talked into the shoe? Yeah, see, Get Smart.
Oh, I watched
Oh,
that
yeah.
religiously, and all
Yeah,
of
I
these
just
shows were available to all these shows were available to Gen X
yeah.
because they were all reruns shown over and over on UHF stations.
Yeah.
Just total side note, Mel Brooks got his Lifetime Achievement Oscar this year, and so they like already gave it to him. Here you go. And
Oh,
and
It was
yeah,
starting to look bad that they
he's
hadn't
93
given it
years
to him
old.
yet.
Yeah.
You know, like the man looks great for 93. You know, you're like, he's starting to look bad. The man's almost a century old, okay? He can look however the hell he wants. He's still alive. And he's sharp as a tack.
I loved the commercials he and his son did during the pandemic,
Yeah.
where he would leave his son out on the patio. No, I think they left Mel out in the patio and they wouldn't
Yeah.
let him in
Yeah.
because they didn't want to infect him. Those are clever.
Well, it's, Mel Brooks, it must have been a funny house to live in because Max, his son, has a great sense of humor. Whenever I've seen him in interviews and stuff like on the Tonight Show, he's as sharp as his dad.
I wish he would write
Ooh.
more. His book, World War Z,
Oh, yeah.
that was brilliant.
Yeah, and he also wrote the zombie survival guide
Yep,
prior to
yep.
that. But I'm so over zombies. I want him to pick up something else, and he's still obsessed with them. I'm so over zombies.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
I got
They
very
are kind
disappointed
of
with
the
The Walking
vampires of
Dead.
the
I mean,
world.
what the hell? They had a good chance. He could have ended it all and everyone would be very happy. But they sort of bifurcated it, and who cares?
And then they had all these like spin-offs of it that no one
Yeah.
asked for.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what
are
I
you
meant. Like
talking about The
bifurcated. Like,
Walking
yeah,
Dead?
it went to all these spin-off shows. He said there was going to be an ending. We were
Yeah.
told there's be an ending. It looked like they were all set for some sort of good ending. And
Yeah.
they just sort of said, "Oh, we're going to do all these different shows now." And like,
Well-
nobody wants to watch them. Everyone was tired of the whole thing anyway.
What I kind of got sick of Kirkman's view of the zombie apocalypse is that there's no hope and humanity was doomed to destroy itself, right? And I'm sorry, but there would be a period of like land barons and warlords and certainly like that, but I feel like people would come together and want to rebuild society eventually, and Kirkman never got there.
We managed to get by perfectly well for like thousands of years without the internet. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and it's
the
like
whole of human evolution.
like one thing that they never, ever, ever did in the show or the comic was go to a library, right? And I mean, for crying out loud, the gardening section.
I don't think they have them in
Well-
wherever they are in like Atlanta.
They're in Georgia.
This is
they
why
don't
I
have
never-
libraries there.
I watched maybe a little
libraries
of
in
the first
Atlanta.
season.
No. They just have derelict convenience stores.
Oh, is she gonna have hoof feet?
Somewhat.
There's her hoof feet.
Yeah,
He's got funny boots.
she knew how to wear heels.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
exaggerating them a bit.
Diana Rigg was actually considered a fashion icon on the show, and they put her in a lot of leather and a lot of cat suits.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people who say that for the time she was a feminist icon.
For the 1960s, she was, because she was considered basically equal to him. Where, in the 60s, you had women entering the workforce. You didn't have them established there. You didn't have women bosses. You didn't have women owners. You didn't have women managers. You had women secretaries.
Well,
And
you
you
did
had-
on the BBC somewhat in these different things. I mean, even the 60s. Like, you can even go back to like early Doctor Who, and they have women in sort of leadership roles, you know.
And when they would flesh out her character, this is a woman who was studying astrophysics, who was studying biology. She was very well educated.
Ian
And-
would describe her as a Bond girl, because it's always like, you know, she's a supermodel astrophysicist
Yes.
ballerina.
Well, remember, Diana Rigg did play a Bond girl in
Yeah.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Ah.
But she was the only Bond girl that Bond married.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She
Yes.
was Mrs.
She was a
Bond.
keeper.
But then,
Yes.
of course, that meant she got killed.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Of course. As per tradition, as it was foretold by Ian McKellen. Or not Ian McKellen, I'm sorry, Ian Fleming. I don't know why I said Ian McKellen. I read an interesting story the other day that when Martin Freeman was filming The Hobbit, he never really got a chance to see his family. Like in 18 months, he would see them once every few weeks or so, and then they'd fly back home and they had lives. You know, the kids were in school and stuff like that. And so one particular trip that they came out, Ian McKellen babysat the kids, reading them bedtime stories so that Martin Freeman could go out with his wife and have an evening out with his wife. And so, you know, they got babysat by Gandalf.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Christopher Lee actually had met Tolkien, and he was really when he
they were friends at one point, and
and when Lee learned about this film, he really wanted it made. The Lord of the Rings series. I still think they made an error not casting him as Gandalf. Yeah.
No, you know, Ian McKellen did a great job, but Christopher Lee played Sauron, and you have to think, as an actor, it's so rare that they get to play a villain and like really dig into it and stuff. And so, you know, I think maybe he wanted to play Sauron because Saruman. I'm sorry. I remember it's the White Wizard before Gandalf becomes white.
It's very confusing, like why
before
he has
Gandalf dies
villains
and then
sort of
comes
be very
back
similar.
as Gandalf the White.
Christopher Lee, he had a very strange career because he had to watch himself portrayed on screen as Bond when he was actually what Bond was based on.
Well, that's what he would
Fleming
claim.
is his cousin.
Yeah, there's a story about Lord of the Rings where he gets stabbed through the back, his character. And Peter Jackson is saying, okay, I want, you know, this huge gasp, you know, when you do this and stuff like that. And he's like, no, when you stab a man through the back, it's quiet because there's no air in the lungs.
Yeah. That's not how a man sounds when he's being stabbed.
Yeah, and he's like, I know that because I've done it, you know, and like Peter Jackson's like, okay, that's what we're gonna go with, is there's no sound because I believe you when you say that you have stabbed a man through the back and through the chest, and he died.
Yeah, he was supposedly working special ops during World War II. And
there's during World War II, Audrey Hepburn was with the French Resistance. And so there's a story where she was spying on Nazi activity to report back to the resistance, and they came over and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And so she was just picking flowers, and she's going, I'm just picking flowers in the meadow. And, you know, and then la, and goes away and reports on that said activity. But she just told him she was picking flowers, just picking flowers. Don't mind me, not spying on you or anything.
She was quite young at that point.
Yeah. She was like 18 or 19 years old. And
it's strange sometimes when I look back at my relatives, how many of them were involved in these conflicts, and they're passing away. Like if you go to the Schulz Museum, one of the things that Charles Schulz was the most proud of was his service in World War II.
Yeah.
I think that this man had been a machine gunner.
I had mentioned this before to Chuck when we had the last show and stuff, but some of the most amazing drawings I think Jack Kirby ever did. He did in the trenches of World War II. His war drawings are sharp. There's weight to them. They feel real and dirty and gritty and observed because he was there.
Yeah.
If it was just a kid in a trench drawing who happened to later on become Jack Kirby. And I love him.
That's Charles Schulz worshipped Bill Malden, who was in.
He used to do Stars and Stripes with Will Eisner during World War II.
And there's a British cartoonist, Ralph Steadman. Are you familiar with that name? Does a very
What's he done?
Fear and Loathing.
I'm sorry?
Fear and Loathing.
And
is it that artist?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then I know it.
And am I thinking that? Who's the one who does the girls' school, St. Trinians?
Oh, that Ronald Searle.
Ronald Searle, okay.
He's a little easy to confuse with Steadman in some ways, so they have a sort of similar.
I believe it's
Stedman's
Ronald,
way more sort of surreal.
Searle.
Stedman's also like Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Okay,
stay out of there.
Searle. Ronald Searle was a prisoner
Get
of
away
war
from there.
of the Japanese during World War II.
I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to my daughter under my desk eyeing wires.
He has a book of his drawings from when he was a prisoner of war of the Japanese. And I found it when I was in college. I was in the stacks goofing off. And the drawings are just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because it shows the men, but there's a wonderful still life of a cat and her kittens. And he has to admit that they were so hard up from food that they ate them. And it's
a lot of awful stuff happened in prisoner of war camps during World War II.
Right, but we hear the stories, but we don't often see the art because there were still people drawing just to stay sane. And he admits that one of the Japanese officers took pity on him and gave him art supplies.
Yeah. I think I've told you. I think I've told you guys the story about how that Japanese sword ended up in my family. Did I?
Did you?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say before you begin, that's really nice depiction of skin tight leather, Chuck.
Yeah. It does look really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I like the stretching across the crotch region. It's very nice.
Well, it's somewhat from reference, but I my original drawing was so long ago, and I sort of made my original drawing up a bit. I don't know. So it's a mixture of sort of looking at reference and just making it up.
It works as shiny leather.
So
and if you put a wash on that, I'll kick your ass.
So the
I promised you I wouldn't this week. So all right.
Okay.
The story of how that Japanese sword ended up in my family is that my mom's parents were in their 40s when she was born. And so the oldest of her siblings was like 24 years older than she was, and she was born in 1953. And so her half brother from my grandfather's previous marriage served in World War II, and he served in the war in the Pacific. And so when they were leave him alone. When they were island hopping, where the Japanese would be on an island, the Americans would go there, Japanese would leave. They would, go over here, the Japanese would come back to this island. It was a crazy series of months that they were doing this.
Yeah, we learned about that in history class.
Yeah, they came across an island, and there was a clearing in the middle of the island, and the Japanese had cleared off the island, but they still had to clear the island. And so they found in the middle of this clearing the officer that was in charge of the Japanese that were on the island, dead face down in the dirt with his own family sword shoved in his back. And so my mom's half brother took the sword out of the back, wiped the blood off, and cut the scabbard off of the belt, rescabbarded the sword, and took it home. And so I have that sword in my closet right now.
Wow.
It was issued by the Japanese military to their officers, and the officers were basically, the descendants of samurai. And so, that's why they got swords, is because they were from honorable families.
Now,
And
if it
it was
in
still
his
an empire.
if it was in his back, someone had to stick it in.
Exactly. His own men turned on him.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they killed him with his own sword, probably because, again, this is my mom's half brother Bob's story. His interpretation was that they had been following the same crew for a while, and that the guys didn't want to stand and fight, and they wanted to get off the island before the Americans came, and this guy wanted to stand and fight because there had been crews left on previous islands left to fight that every single one of them were slaughtered.
Yeah.
And so, that was his interpretation of what happened. And that's why the men turned on him, is because this guy was, all about honor, and they were like about preservation. But we really don't know for certain, aside from the circumstantial evidence that his own sword was shoved in his back. He had the scabbard on his belt.
Have you ever written the story down?
My mom's half brother, and I call him that because it's weird to call him my uncle, like my half uncle. He has actually had a documentary about his experiences in World War II made about him.
Okay.
So I do not need to tell the story because the story is there.
Well, it's just the thing is, artifacts.
Yeah.
Sometimes you end up inheriting them. Like right now,
Yeah.
my mother and father are working on my uncle's estate.
Yeah.
The artifacts can survive, but the stories don't always.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
also have the head of Dr. Zayas, speaking of inheriting artifacts. And so I've shown you the head of Dr.
Yes.
Zayas. Yes.
Well, this is a good segue to remind everyone, end of the month, National Gorilla Suit Day.
Of course it is.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
I guess so. If
It's
Dale says so, it is.
January 31st.
He would know.
Do you guys have your suits ready?
I do not have a gorilla suit.
No, me either.
How about guerrilla warfare?
How can you call yourselves cartoonists and not have a gorilla suit?
Well, I feel like there's no point in me having. If I had a gorilla suit, everyone would know it was me that was in there. So then that sort of defeats the point of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I am kind of
Is it because it'd be
disappointed
the
now.
gorilla with the cool walking stick?
Yeah. I don't know. It sort of spoils cosplay a bit.
Well, I think
Just give yourself a top hat.
Chuck should get himself a nice umbrella,
Yeah.
like John Steed.
I have my daughter blowing through a tube right now, so that is that sound.
Ah,
It's a
Yes.
nice little top of bowler hats.
Wait. I have something I can share. I can do this. Let's see. Oh no. I can go in here. Ha ha ha.
did I ever tell you the story when I actually wore
I got cat cam.
John Steed's hat?
Ooh. Yes.
See, you can turn on cat cam if you want.
You had an opportunity
Oh,
to
never
purchase
mind.
his bowler hat. Yeah,
Yes,
put on
I
cat
didn't,
cam.
and it
No,
was-
cat cam. Cat removed themselves from cat cam. So because the child is messing with said cat.
It haunts me to this very day that I did not spend $3,000 and buy that hat.
There's going to be purchases like that in your life.
Yeah.
In 1999, okay, I was still in high school. There was an animation cell booth at San Diego Comic-Con that had an amazing collection of cells, and the cells were like $100 each, which is pretty affordable. But I was a poor high school kid. I think I had like $100 to spend, and there was cells from The Simpsons. There were cells from Disney. There were cells from everything. What I regret is the few cells that I had like wanted to purchase. I put them to the side, and I was going to come back later and buy them, and they were, of course, were gone. You know, and I set aside like $300 worth of cells.
Did you just drop your brush?
Yes.
Did you mark
Yep.
the page?
When you make a mistake,
Yes.
incorporate. When you make a mistake, incorporate. I guess they're going to have kind of a dark
You
background.
weren't wearing your seatbelt at all, were you?
Well, this is really difficult stuff here that I worked out in the drawing yesterday, but I can't really see it anymore. I'm hitting the camera with my head, trying to see.
Well, then you move the camera.
I can't really. It's sort of all fixed in.
That was the
okay.
thing that I really admired about Guillermo del Toro, the director's exhibit that he had traveling the country of all the things he had collected.
Yeah.
Because he had a quote on the wall saying, I think, and I'll misquote it, of course, but the gist is the whole point about being 40 is being able to fulfill the desires that you had when you were 5 years old.
Okay. Midlife crisis a bit, but I'll support it.
Yeah. You know, that is a thing. Like, I still regret not getting a Phaser Type 1 at a sci-fi convention when I was 10.
Yeah. It's okay, but now there's 3D printers. You can have someone make you one.
I'm on the verge of buying one.
Yeah, see, there you go. And then you'll have it. And then that will fill that phaser shaped hole in your heart.
Is that what you're going to print? A phaser?
No, I want to print some doodles. There's software out now. Well, ZBrush has been around for a long time now, 20 years. But the idea of printing doodles appeals to me.
You're like somebody in the 1990s saying, I'm going to print out a map to the place I want to drive to.
Oh, I am.
I'm buying a printer so I can print a map so I can drive to my friend's house.
I remember my first inkjet printer. It was like magic.
Yeah. My mom worked for a construction company in the 80s that, had a work computer there. And that at the time in the 80s was state of the art. It was DOS, black with green words. And I remember the construction company was just going to toss it at the end of the job. And so my mom took it home. And so we actually had a computer in our house when a lot of people in my poor little valley didn't.
Yeah, you're like Bill Gates. You had early access.
I had early access. Yeah. And so my brother was running a BBS when I was like 10 years old and he was 12.
Wow.
And I remember playing Dragon's Lair on the BBS and, where it'd come up with a little description and you had to make sure to check your guy into an inn because if he was in a clearing or something like that, when you checked out of the game and somebody else ran into the same clearing, it'd say that you were there and they could just rob you, but because you weren't there to defend yourself. So you'd have to make sure you checked into an inn and make sure that no one was robbing your room when you were in the inn. Yeah, it was pretty complicated for a DOS game.
Oh, I hated those games where you had to do something like that. It's like
I had so many notes.
Exactly the right thing.
I had so many notes. This is what's in my inventory. This is the map, right? Because it was all description. No pictures. Aside from like assy pictures where like you load up the game and it's a picture of a red dragon, but it's not like a picture of a red dragon. It's text creating the picture of the red dragon because it was assy.
My first computer game was a play-by-mail. This is back when people did not have computers, but a game company would have a mainframe.
Yeah.
And it was called StarWeb. And you would mail in your moves and you get back in the mail a printout saying
what
how
happened.
your Galactic Empire was doing. My empire didn't do very well.
Yeah, you didn't pay them enough.
Yeah. I'm trying to teach my daughter chess right now. And so, just it's more her just kind of playing with the pieces and putting them on the board. Like she's not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When you're in and she has
I
a
got to
pawn
finish
up her
that
nose,
cartoon. Like
you'll-
the AI, great battles of AI versus human.
Yeah,
The AI is like, I calculate I'm going to win this game in 14 moves with a 98% probability. The human's like, oh, look, I want to draw the little horsey.
Well, I'm trying to teach her how to draw too. She's really good at coloring in for a 3-year-old. Like I don't know if you guys are aware of this, being older people and stuff, but in Babyland,
thanks. That was subtle.
Without children, for Dale's sake, in Babyland, there's something called Baby Shark. And Baby Shark sings the stupid song, Baby Shark, and then has adventures, Baby Shark adventures under the sea, learning about how to not be afraid of the dentist, or the power of friendship, or whatever.
Wait, is this a real thing, or is this like a Brisby Bear thing that you made up to entertain your daughter?
No, this is a real thing.
Have you seen Brisby Bear, by the way?
No.
Oh, you need to watch that. You both need to watch Brisby Bear movie, by the way.
But
100%. I don't know why everyone isn't watching that movie.
So the Baby Shark and Baby Shark's family are certain colors. In one of Annabelle's coloring sheets, because I got her a Baby Shark coloring book, she colored all of them the right colors. I mean, outside the lines, but she colored this one yellow, this one's red, this one's blue, and they were the right ones. Like, Grandpa Shark was green, like he is on the show. So,
well, we don't have that, but in San Jose, we have a team called a hockey team called the Sharks.
Yes,
and
I know.
My
college friend, Jamie McNeil, does all of the ice animations for the Sharks.
Oh, I didn't know.
So when you go there, and also animations and stuff for the screens. So like when you're watching it live and they cut over to a player's information and stuff like that, he makes all those graphics. And then when you actually watch the game live, between rounds and things, they will have little animated things on the ice. He designs all of that and syncs it up with sound, or they'll say, yeah, you have to do it to this song because we have the rights to this song.
I've been to Sharks games. No one watches the game. They're all watching each other and having a party. No one watches the game. No one cares.
Yeah, well, again, this is the stuff for when you're there at the game to entertain people, and then when they do the kiss cam and stuff, there's graphics around the kiss cam. Yeah. He'll design that, and so he's like their resident animator.
Yeah, when I went to San Jose State, and one of my instructors was the sports illustrator Terry Smith, and he designed the Sharks logo. Or I've been told different things about who designed it, but I'm pretty sure that it was Terry who designed it. He was also in the early marketing catalogs, because one of the reasons you design the logo is to sell merch. So they hired all these professional models, and then they had Terry stand in as well. The thing is, Terry he was an athlete, so he just towers over these models.
Terry Crews does that too. He's a painter.
I know, he's a freaking good airbrush painter.
Yeah, he really is. In college, when he was playing college ball and stuff like that, he used to sell paintings of other players to those players, right? Like he'd be like, "Hey man, I'm painting pictures of football, people, would you like a painting?" And so some of these players from his college days went on to NFL careers, and those paintings appraised in value at much higher than he originally sold them for, and then were resold at auction, to fans of these players, because it's a painting done by Terry Crews of this player that got really big in the NFL before they were big, when they were still in college.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to him, but it would be nothing about sports. It would be all about airbrushing.
Yeah, he's got good comedy chops. He seems to have a really good sense of humor about himself. And he's been very open about his health regimens and stuff. Like he's not like guys like, oh no, I don't juice. You know, he's like, oh yeah, I totally use steroids. You know, and he's like, but these are the benefits, these are the pros and the cons of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and why I don't recommend you do it. Right.
Well, I would completely ignore that and just ask him, did you use inks or acrylics?
He's an acrylic painter.
Okay, because Terry Smith used to use, what were those? They were schminky inks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Schminks.
And they weren't light fast.
Yeah.
Because they're dyes, not pigmented.
Yeah, those Dr. Martens, they're dyes. Are they not light fast? I don't know. I did something with one of them. I think they stayed pretty light fast. I
don't know. I haven't painted in ink very much. I've mostly just like I dabbled in watercolors, but I'm not very good at it. I'm much better digitally at watercolors. Because there's an undo button.
Clip Studio Paint had better watercolors.
What I have found is I have invested in True Grit texture supply brushes that have filled in those gaps that are missing in their brush.
And those are Photoshop compatible, so you're running those in?
No, True Grit has
Clip Studio.
Procreate brushes, have Clip Studio brushes, but the files are slightly different. If you try and upload them into Photoshop, some of them will work, some of them won't work right.
Okay.
You know, so it's better to, if you want to use Photoshop, to just purchase the Photoshop brushes themselves. I have Clip Studio paint brushes that I freely give my friends, and you know, if you want them, I can send them your way.
No, I'm just going to True Grit. I see their ads all the freaking time.
You know, I stand by their product. It's I have bought probably about 4 or 5 of their packs, and they are so worth it. And the thing is in the packs, when I play with them, I might end up buying 150 brushes and find 5 that I really like.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not, I don't feel like I'm wasting the other stuff because it just does stuff that I haven't found a use for yet. You know, there's one of the brushes that True Grit sells is called the Milk Kniff brush. And it's not very good for the style of inking I do. I tend to use a brush called a Clean Liner because I like the way that it expands and shrinks when I do pressure. The Milk Kniff brush, very light pressure, and it expands, right? And so I'm not a big fan of that for inking art and stuff. But the use I found for it was lettering. It's super clean. It looks like a brush lettered. You know, it looks like somebody just did hand lettering with a brush, right? And then I found another one, which is my the R Crumb brush, is really good for hand lettering dialogue. For me, it looks like a B2 nib, and it's like the perfect width. It just has like these great little corners to it where they're not too sharp, but they have like a slight little rounded point to them. So when you're doing something like an E, it kind of narrows out the ends of the E, and it allows you to have like a thicker bottom on the top of the E, and narrow it towards the top without it going too narrow and without it like being too straight. So it adds weight to the bottom of the word. I'm talking weird arty stuff now.
No,
but
that's good. We like it.
Yeah, so it's hard to describe without like actually showing you. But
no,
yeah,
I'm on their website right now, and I'm looking at the brushes. They've got a Clip Studio Paint brush bundle for like 136. You know, I look at that stuff and I understand what you're talking about because I've tweaked brushes in CSP, but then I think about the fact that Chuck's just here with a freaking marker and one brush.
He's not using a marker.
No, well,
Well, I have used. I do
He
have.
has in the past in different
I
episodes.
did use. I
But
did.
this
I did
particular
have
episode,
pupils with my pen.
This
Oh, yeah.
episode is all brush.
pupils.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. I didn't realize this, but I found an interview with the creators of Ogloff.
Oh,
Ah, yes,
Now,
Ogloff is
yeah.
too brilliant. It is too amazing for
Yeah.
a porn comic online.
Yes. Yeah.
That like it's so smart. I am such a fan of it, and like
Yeah.
I'll read stuff. And I'm like, why can't I write that well?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
timing of Ogloff is amazing. Panel to panel timing.
Yeah,
They
it's
know when to
beautifully
have.
written. It's beautifully drawn. It's
They
doing
know
something
when
that.
to have silent
Yeah.
panels. The facial expressions are perfect. It's just such a well done comic, and I hate and love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I look at it and it makes me angry. It's so good.
Yeah, it has no business being that good.
I just want to remind our viewers that
It
it
is
is
a porn
not
comic.
safe for work.
Yeah, it is a
So-
porn comic. There are titties, there are penises in it. There is sex. They say bad words.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely an NS
Not say NFSW. I will
Yeah,
send you the link
NSFW.
after the show.
yes.
But
yes.
the interesting thing about it is the two creators, Doug and Trudy, they have an open Google Docs file
Mhm.
where they are dropping in their ideas for the strip. And the interesting thing is that Doug will do the thumbnails, and then Trudy will work from the thumbnails.
Interesting. So he's like, I just think it'd be kind of funny if these characters are talking,
Right.
and then she figures out what they say.
Right, and then
That's such an interesting way
Oh,
to
that's
do
a
it.
good way to do it.
and I thought
Yeah.
she was completely digital, but she's using Pitt artist pens.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So a lot of
Yeah.
the things that I thought were digital because when they do the coloring, they will change the line color in the
Yeah.
background.
Mm-hmm.
So she's an old school ink on paper.
I would say that is a beautiful marriage of digital and traditional art because
Oh.
the final result looks amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the coloring
Yeah.
is top notch.
Yeah, so Ogloff is amazing. You'll have to send me the link to the interview because I am very curious to see how their minds work. On that
haven't
note,
read it in ages.
Zach Wienersmith and his wife have their Life on Mars book that came out. It's been on like the New York Times bestsellers list and stuff. And
Oh.
that's the crew behind Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereal.
Yes.
His wife works on that.
His wife wrote it.
Oh, I didn't.
I mean,
know
they
that.
wrote
the
it
strip
together.
or the strip or the book.
Both.
So, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a one-man shop.
No,
Yeah.
no. Zach
I
does the art, but she does most of the writing. That's
Oh,
why
I
she's
didn't
very
know that at all.
I
scientific.
didn't know that.
She has like a PhD in like bioengineering or something. She's a very smart lady.
Okay, did you pick up that Life on Mars book yet?
I haven't had an opportunity yet, but like I said, it's been doing really well. It's on the New York Times bestsellers list. It's supposed to be incredibly funny and well researched, and I'm super excited to pick up a copy when I get a chance. But
Yeah,
I just haven't had a chance yet.
The thing with that kind of book is there's comic shops in the Bay Area,
He looks like the Riddler.
but they may not.
He does look like the Riddler. I
yeah.
made him a little creepy looking because I find him a bit creepy.
He's not creepy.
He's creepy.
All right, as he got older, he got slightly creepier.
So to me, it looks like the Riddler and his henchmen that he is going, okay, Batman, now battle my henchmen.
Yeah.
Well, you do know that there was
Be that too.
there was a comic series with a crossover between Batman 66 and the Avengers.
Mm,
Yes.
I did not know that. Yes. It appears that food is being made in my house, so I might have to sign off, considering it wasn't supposed to be on your show today.
Well, it was nice having you on.
Yeah, it was lovely to have you on. I
Come on
didn't have
again.
to talk as much.
Yeah, yeah.
Chuck likes
Unless
me better than he likes me.
it's unless it's me going, have you inked your comic today?
Yeah, checking on Dale's homework. Yeah.
Yeah, because where
I
we
have to
left
go to
off
the
is that
comic
you're
book
supposed
store and get that book.
there's lots of books. There's lots of books to get. Are you talking about the one by Neil Clyde? Or not Neil Clyde, I'm sorry, Neil Cohn?
I thought we were talking about Wienersmith's.
Wienersmith's book. I'm sorry. I thought we jumped to homework for a second and I told you lots of books to get.
No, there was something you told me to watch.
The 5 Obstructions.
Yeah, the 5 Obstructions.
Yes. And
What-
it's The
what's
5
the Five
Obstructions
Obstructions?
is an independent movie about an independent
On
movie
YouTube.
maker who hits a creator block, and he hasn't been able to make a movie in years. And while he has taught film, he has not made films, and so he's just feeling in this rut. And he goes to a student of his that is also a filmmaker that decides, I'm going to make a movie about getting this guy to make movies again. And so his student becomes the teacher and basically gives him homework to do to get him to make movies again. And so it follows their process through that homework. And the 5 obstructions are each time he has to remake this movie, there's a new obstruction added to it. And it basically teaches you that sometimes you're forced to be more creative in a box than when you think outside that box.
Yes.
Because when you're outside that box, there's no limitation to what you can do. And sometimes you can head off in a weird direction and no one follows you there. And
Yes.
so, when you're forced to be creative inside a box with limitations and you can make something of that, there's a spark of ingenuity and imagination there. Like I can think of the movie Die Hard. My gosh, my brain just totally spazzed. Hans Gruber, the actor.
Alan
Rickman. Thank you.
The late Alan Rickman.
Yes, Alan Rickman was not very good at shooting guns. Okay, he flinched every time he shot a gun. He hated guns. He wasn't around guns, but the character handles guns a lot in that movie. So what they had to do was edit around his inability to not flinch when he shot guns. Right? And the thing is, if you know that and you watch the movie, you can see how they edited it, but it shows the power and the strength of that particular editor to be able to do that, and you don't even notice. It's like it's kind of working with that obstruction of we can't show him actually shooting the gun because he's going to flinch. Yeah.
Yeah, or like Jaws, where they couldn't really make the shark
they
work.
couldn't show the
So
shark.
you had to make
They couldn't show the shark because the shark kept breaking. Yeah, and so the shark sank. The shark would float on its side, and it just wasn't a very scary shark. And so the first time you see the shark is when they're throwing chum and stuff into the water to try and draw the shark out. And you see the shark show up and and eat a little bit. And then, he turns around and he says, we're going to need a bigger boat, right? That's the first time you see the shark. If you've seen the movie a million times, that shark looks fake as can be. When it comes up, it's so rubbery, right? But the fact that you haven't seen that shark for an hour and 15 minutes at that point, it's just been built up and it's only on the screen for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It terrifies you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, because
your
you're
brain
like not
fills in the rest
expecting
of
it,
the
and then
shark.
it's this sort of horrible thing.
You want to leave the monster to the imagination.
Oh yeah. There's a good comparison of this idea between the original 1960s War of the Worlds and then Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. And the example I can think of this is them showing the alien. In the original 1960s War of the Worlds, the first time the alien's outside the ship and is walking around, all we're seeing is like the shadows of it. We'll see like a little tentacle here and there, but we don't really get a clear shot of it. Whereas Steven Spielberg spent about 10 minutes with a camera on the alien in his version, and it's not scary.
Well, you do see the alien briefly in the George Powell version.
Yeah, at the end when he dies.
On it.
Yeah, when he dies too. You see the alien at the very end.
The arm when he dies.
Yeah. But again, it's just
No, but the best example of it is in Peanuts. Snoopy is always at war with the stupid cat next door, he was later renamed World War II.
And the Red Baron, which you also never see
Yeah.
in Peanuts strips. And don't forget the teachers. Wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
wah.
So the best thing about Chuck's drawing right now is that we don't see some of the characters that were in the Avengers.
I guess.
No,
Yes.
it's just a terrible segue. It's
Yes.
a lovely drawing. I'm happy that you didn't use any wash on it.
I'm going to do that after the show.
Great, thanks. Piss me
What?
off.
There's nothing wrong with adding a pop of color.
Yeah, I was going to do some colour. I don't know.
Colour.
Dale's giving me a hard time about these things.
Why don't you do a black and white wash?
I've been doing black and white washes. I had a very good result last week, and everyone liked it. Dale's like, "Oh no, you've got to do it all just black and white."
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to
Ian turned the
improve your
TV on.
skills there.
It's like you're giving him classes, he's giving me classes. I feel like I should be giving you classes, Amber, and then the circle will be complete.
The circle will be complete.
I think you should give her classes.
Yeah, I found my nibs the other day. I still have my nibs, and then I have that really nice ink that I bought for the noodler. That I've been like, well, maybe I can nib something, but I don't have any Bristol right now. I don't have anything and I have a 2-year-old, or excuse me, a 3-year-old who will get into things and go, ooh, black ink. Let me get that everywhere.
Wait, you replaced the 2-year-old with a 3-year-old?
Yeah, she had a birthday. She leveled up.
Oh,
they do a new one every year, Dale.
Singer.
Yeah, she's a level 3 human now.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's
Did
crazy.
she unlock any abilities?
Let's see. She is beginning to speak in riddles. And the best way I can describe this is Biboba is spirograph.
Computer. Turn TV volume
And Gigi Gao is Mickey Mouse. So those are the riddles. I have to decipher the riddles.
I have a video of Sammy sitting there. I filmed him at the kitchen table one time, and he was sort of babbling away, saying all these things. But then over the years, I realized, oh no, he was really saying all this stuff, and you can actually follow what he's saying. But you have to sort of take, they know what they're saying for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And again, we are doing our best to decipher the riddles of the child.
Well, this is how people learn language. You just make noises until people understand you.
Mm-hmm. I am being summoned away because it is 12:19 now in my neck of the woods because I'm an hour ahead of you.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to leave. I'm going to let you guys say goodbye on the show
all right.
and stuff like that. And you sent me the random link on the really old.
That was an old thread. Yeah, sorry, that's
like Chris was in that thread too.
So
yeah,
I didn't have my glasses on. I just saw Dale. So, but that's good. That's serendipitous. Maybe we'll do some more shows.
Big hugs.
All right, big hugs. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Well, I'm done with my drawing.
Okay, then draw something else. You've got 40 minutes.
We have to go for the full 2 hours.
Oh yeah, pull out another piece of paper, baby.
I'm tired.
I don't care. You said this is a workout. Feel the burn.
All right.
Why don't you give yourself a treat? Just get a blank piece of paper and draw whatever you want.
Just a little piece of paper.
Okay, there's something wrong with that paper.
It's not straight.
It's not white.
Yeah, it's white. I don't know what these bits are, actually. I thought they were bits I'd cut to draw on, but now I'm looking at them. I think they're offcuts.
Are they white?
Yeah, they're white.
Ish.
There's a sort of, the camera gives a sort of bluish cast. I don't really know why.
Okay.
That's not very good paper.
It could be the bleaching that's in the paper.
It could be. It's Strathmore paper. Here's some Canson paper. Is that better? No,
No, it's still white. Weird. I wonder if the camera will adjust once you put black on it.
Well, we can only hope.
I don't care. It's not my show.
Right. I kind of don't need a big piece like that, though. All right. Okay. Well, let's see.
An underdraw, or are you going to just go for it with ink?
No, I'm just going to go for it with a Sharpie on this paper here.
Okay.
I'm going to look
Wait,
up.
you spent all that money on expensive art supplies, and you're going to pull out a Sharpie?
What's wrong with Sharpies now?
Okay. Do you think that you're Keith Knight?
No.
Okay.
Does he use Sharpies?
Oh, yeah. He had an enormous one that he would take to cons.
Let's see. This is really serious.
Okay, as an ex-art supply store employee, I'm really disgusted that you're going to use a Sharpie. Because I want you to use a pen that works the same way, but at 10 times the cost.
There isn't such pen. I mean, you could use a dip pen. The Sharpie, I don't know. There's something very nice about just drawing in with a Sharpie, though. Really.
A fine point Sharpie.
Well, let's see what I've got here.
You just held up a Pitt artist pen like a few minutes ago.
Yeah, but no, I mean like one of these.
Oh, it's a fine point. Okay.
Yeah.
You're just using
It's
it
an
for
ultra fine
smell.
point. That says ultra fine point. I don't know if I like that one. Is that the same? Yeah, I think these are fine points. Just that's a fine point. That's very fat.
No, those are super fat.
All right, I'm looking for some model reference. Let's see. Ooh, here's some pictures of girls with guitars.
You want to draw a guitar?
They're quite difficult. It would be challenging.
Yeah. Why don't you look for a girl playing a guitar on a bicycle?
Can't find that. She's wearing a strange outfit. All right, I like this one. All right.
You're going to just contour draw it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's guts. You want me to talk while you're doing it to describe?
Yeah. Keep talking away. That's fine. Normally, I'd be listening to like Gilbert Gottfried or someone like that. To, you know, it's like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where you learn to fly by falling over and missing the ground. So it's a bit like that process.
No, I'm really behind on my homework. I've got to do lettering today.
All right. What have we got?
And even though Doug and Trudy and Ogloff use a Bamblot font, I just don't like the look of it. I think there's a problem with using digital fonts when your cartooning stuff is just too wild or sketchy. It's just there's a disconnect between that and a regular font that has an even baseline. Now, when you were, if you were going to do a strip again, would you use a digital font or would you hand letter?
I might hand letter at this point. I don't know.
Okay.
Because actually, by the time you've sort of done all that, you might as well just hand letter it. I think a computer's good for sort of playing around a little bit in composition stage with your sketches, and it's definitely good for sort of making corrections and things. I don't know, but I think you want to avoid doing too much in the computer. First of all, I mean, who wants to spend their life sat on a computer?
Aren't we on a computer now?
Well, we are. And, you know, it's making my whole drawing experience more difficult because, you know, rather than just drawing it, I've got to deal with the computer. This is a very strange get up here.
Now, you're still a Photoshop kid. We haven't convinced you yet to get Clip Studio Paint.
I don't think that's going to happen because, like, Photoshop comes with, like, a whole suite of other software that's also very good.
Okay. Now, I'm wondering if Amber cost me $130 today. I was looking at those brushes, grit texture. I'll probably buy them and use like one brush.
Right.
That's usually how it works. Though, did you see what you remember James Gurney, the guy who does Dinotopia, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yes.
He's going to do a channel now. It's not going to be on Patreon. It's on Substack. It's $50 a year for a bunch of free content, but you're paying for a weekly deep dive on some subject.
A weekly deep dive.
I assume it's on his painting and drawing techniques, and his so I don't know. I just find it interesting that he's doing this and he's not doing it on Patreon, which is what a lot of other artists do.
Yeah.
But that's new for him. I'm debating whether or not to try it for a month.
Won't you feel bad though when you have to quit it later, or are you just going to stay subscribed?
Well, I'm old, so I usually forget. I'm subscribed to a whole bunch of stuff that I don't watch.
Yeah. You're exactly what they're looking for, these artist types.
Oh yeah, I'm an idiot.
Right.
Do you subscribe to any of those, Chuck?
I subscribe to different things at different times. I don't know what I'm subscribed to right now off the top of my head. I have some different Patreons I follow. I do follow Keith Knight on Patreon.
So do I. I'm sorry I didn't go up to see him when he was in San Francisco recently.
Oh yeah, totally off my radar. It was sort of on it and off it. I kept thinking, I've got to get along and do that. Right. I'm getting very warmed up here. All right, we're getting there.
No, I couldn't draw last night. I just barely pulled out my sketchbook entry out of my rear end.
So, what is Amber making you do a sketchbook?
No, that's me.
Okay.
Inktober never ends.
Making you do sketchbook.
Wait.
Check
Okay.
it out.
Okay.
By the way, if you have another request, you don't need to say Siri before you ask it.
I didn't say Siri, did I? You just so desperate for me to talk to you.
Yeah, that's Apple listening in on you.
Oh yeah. Well, we have been saying disparaging things about their organisation from time to time.
Hey, just to make you feel bad,
Interference.
what's going on with your iMac? Are you giving up on putting more RAM in it, or?
Oh no! What I realised is the hard drive is totally full.
Oh, okay.
So that's even worse of a problem.
Well, no, you just buy a hard drive and you dump stuff off onto it.
Yeah, but which stuff? That's a whole sorting exercise, isn't it? All right. Well, that's just another story for another day. I don't know about this one. This is too complicated.
Well, just pay your kid to do it while you're in England.
I'm not paying. I mean, I would. What? No way. I
Yeah.
wouldn't trust him to go sorting through all my files. What are you talking
Ooh,
about?
let me do it.
Yeah.
I'll drive up and let me go through your computer.
Yeah, this is all getting very peculiar. I'll have to go through and make sure it's it'll be more work. It'll be more work to go through my computer.
I was a Mac genius. I know what I'm doing.
You've seen it all before.
There's nothing that could be on your computer that I did not see on a customer's computer.
Well, I'm sure the customers will be glad to know that.
Trust me, you after you work as a Mac genius for a month, you get the 1,000-yard stare. You have seen things that you cannot unsee.
All right. The thing with these drawings is you just got to keep going, because sometimes you're like, okay, it's all going wrong, but it's not really. It's not. You don't really know till you get to the end of it, and then you have to look at it the next day before I can even begin to decide if I did a good job or not.
Well, all contour drawings look like this. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you underdraw. Because when you're contour drawing like this, you're dealing simultaneously with measurement and line quality.
Yeah, that was really threw me off. I started thinking about what you made me start thinking about what I was doing, and it got harder.
Yeah, part of my job is to screw up your drawings. I hope you realize.
Well, yeah, part of your job. Well, yeah, you're supposed to be distracting me. I've got to be able to do this.
Well, we were talking about Ralph Steadman and Roberts and Ronald Searle earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just ink on paper. And while they would do preparatory sketches sometimes, there's a lot of looseness in their style because it's just contour work. I mean, God, who am I thinking of who was also doing all kinds of contour? Well, I mean, Matthias Aldefsson, he's not underdrawing, but he's working at a smaller scale, so he has more control over the subshapes of what he's drawing.
Yeah, and I mean, he sort of draws to his shapes. And yeah, he's got various sort of themes, I suppose, that he sticks with more than others.
Well, I think he's like Sergio. He's got a formula for things. I mean, Sergio always draws his cast iron pots the same way, his ceramics the same way, his glass the same way. He has his visual language style. I mean, you have that to somewhat.
Somewhat. There's certain things I do the same way. I don't know. It depends what I'm doing. I mean, if I'm doing, all right. I'm trying to be. I've been in a more experimental phase where I'm trying to do more different things. So,
why are you trying to grow as an artist?
Yeah, just always trying to, just try different things. You don't know really what. Yeah, I mean, I know there's some things, but once I I like to find a formula and then I'll do it, but then I'll get like, okay, I've had enough of that formula. What's the next formula?
So is that because you want to learn or because you were getting bored?
Well, I think I'm striving for perfection, which is an unattainable goal.
Yeah, you're not going to get it through contour drawing because by definition, they're never going to be perfect.
Well, no, but but like beauty contains an element of imperfection, so they don't need to be perfect. It's really trying to find like where's the beauty, and a mixture of beauty and ugliness.
Like this show.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the hosts.
Yeah. Enough said.
No. What do you think is beauty? I mean, you and I went to the Legion of Honor, and we saw a lot of portraiture, and we saw a lot of landscape. And I mean, was there anything that you saw at the Legion of Honor that you would consider beautiful?
Was there anything? Yeah, I saw lots of beautiful things at the Legion of Honor.
Well, what did you think? Give me an example. Like you and I sat there and we drooled over that Canaletto. I thought the Canaletto, which is just a painting with a bunch of boats and buildings in it, I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, yes, it was beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so much art there that's beautiful. That's a very confusing question.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to distract you while you're drawing.
It's too distracting. That's too challenging.
Yeah, think. Use the brain.
Oh wait, there's like a strap thing that I didn't draw. Drew that in. Well, okay. Okay, she's wearing this like pinstripe top. I don't even know how to begin with that. I could try and draw the pins stripes, or I can
You want to
draw them
or
in
imply
after.
them?
What?
You want to draw them or imply them?
Well, they'll be implied, but I mean, it might be easier just to draw them in afterwards with a white pen, which is what I'm thinking I'm going to do at this point.
Okay. You have a white pen that's opaque enough. I suspect the real reason I like working digitally is that I have white, because I've never, unless you're getting out a brush with white out, I've never found any of the white pens that were really opaque.
Oh, okay. There's a couple that are good. All right, these ones, the Signo, Uniball Signo.
Okay, I don't believe you until I see it, because I've bought all of those and I've tried them when I was cartooning with a fountain pen.
And the other thing is a Pentel Presto pocket correction pen.
Yeah, and they have a nib width about an inch wide.
Yeah, but with a bit of practice, you can get some quite a lot of control out of it.
Okay. Probably should have picked up by now from talking to Amber. I'm not practicing.
Well, there you go. That'll be a problem. You are practicing. You're doing lots of stuff. I've seen you doing tons of things. You're doing some quite accomplished-looking things, I would say. So, I don't know.
Well, I'm learning to push the right buttons inside Eclipse Studio Paint. I've fallen in love with brush stabilization.
All right. Well, that's like using a musician using auto tune.
Yeah, I want auto tune for cartooning.
Well, pretty soon you're just going to be able to feed in everything you've done up till now and just feed it into an AI.
Yeah.
And then you'll be golden. I'm looking forward to the day I can just feed all my Poofle comics into an AI, and it'll make a Poofle movies for me. Finally, there'll be something worth watching.
I really do not want to see what I could come up with AI. My friends are suggesting, I guess there's a paint program called Krita, which now has an AI plugin or access to an AI. I don't want to try it.
I mean, yeah, they have it built into like Photoshop and Illustrator and stuff now.
I don't want to try
Illustrator, like illustrate me something. It'll do it.
Wait, they have AI in Illustrator and it gives you a vector drawing?
Yeah, I can say, and I can say, do me an owl or something, and it will do you. I had to go at it. Well, I wasn't very satisfied with the results, so I was like, okay, I'm not too worried about it.
Well, I must admit, I wish I had Illustrator again to play. If they have AI for typography, I wouldn't mind playing with AI for typography. See what it comes up with. Do you use Illustrator much?
I'm doing all this stuff right now for French Canadian school market. That's all in vector in Illustrator. Yeah.
Oh, the stuff with the kids.
Yeah.
And that you're doing all your line work in Illustrator?
Yeah, they want it all in vector. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How are you doing with that?
Fine. I don't know. Fine. I don't know. It's time consuming.
I wonder if you could do that in Clip Studio Paint and save it as an SVG. What is the acronym? SVG?
SVG.
What files are you sending them? Are you sending them Illustrator,
EPS.
EPS?
Yeah. They're French Canadians. They're still living in like the past or something. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Okay. I thought they were like quite advanced technologically.
Well,
They were on the metric system.
you know,
They're not like us. We measure things with like sheep and goats.
yeah. It's funny because it's true.
I'm convinced they probably hired you because you're like one of the few American illustrators that knows the metric system.
Yeah, maybe, or just I was available.
Now, are they going to pay you in American money, or are they going to like
No,
send?
they're paying me in Canadian dollars.
Really?
Yeah, which is like disappointing because you're not even already not paying me much, and you're paying me
Well,
even less.
there's now. Are there Canadian stores up in San Francisco? I know there's Chinatown. I just don't know if there's a Canada town.
Not that I'm aware of.
I wouldn't mind a Canada town in San Francisco, to be honest.
I mean, if there was, I probably wouldn't be aware of it anyway. But I think I would have known if there was a Canada town at this point. It's interesting why there isn't things like Canada Town. Yeah, why is there always a Chinatown? There's no Canada Town.
Yeah, in San Jose, we have a Japantown. And I know up in San Francisco, you have a Japantown, because I shop there. But, and I don't want to say something that's considered racist, but we used to have something that was called Little Saigon in San Jose. And I don't know if that's just something I heard from someone.
You used to have it, but now it's gone.
Well, no, it was a term that was used. There's a lot of Vietnamese shops. And then, of course, we have San Jose is a nice melting pot. We're a little short on German restaurants, but there's pretty much everything you can get in San Jose. I had no idea that there was an African restaurant like a few blocks away from me.
Really?
Yeah, I had goat there for the first time.
What kind of African restaurants?
It's by the light rail. It's
but is it like a particular like Ethiopian? Like I've had Ethiopian. That's very good.
No, I can't remember. My friends took me. Hey, let's go to the African restaurant by where you live, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's in a little housing complex, but there's a light rail station there, and the food is really good. Let me see if I can find the name of it. Jubba, Somali.
Somalian. Okay.
Yeah. It's the little hole in the wall. It's East African cuisine. And it's like no frills. You just go in there, you order your food. But it was packed with families. It's good. It's by Oak Ridge Mall. But unless you knew the place existed, you would never find it.
Yeah, why when you say it's packed with families, it sounded like you were salivating at the thought of delicious families.
Yes, they had an enormous pot and they cooked families. No, it was. My friends took me. I didn't know what to order, but then they had goat on the menu, and I go, "Oh, I've never had goat," so I had goat.
Well, I don't know about that. Something seems wrong with it.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay, and this is that white pen. It's all right.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
And this is the Uniball.
Yeah.
That is nice. It's showing up on camera at least.
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
Well, I mean, I probably ordered it online from wherever I was ordering my art supplies from, but I can't remember where I heard about it. I don't know. I was like, I just did some research into what was a good pen that people white hat pen. I probably saw someone using it or something.
No, I'll bet you one of the local shops has it.
A local shop for local people.
Yeah, shop locally.
There's nothing for you here. All right. Well, that's just a thing.
No, does that pen
Well,
wear
this
down?
is the hard bit of drawing guitar. I don't know how to do all these flipping frets.
Why don't you get out?
Like, is a guitarist going to look at it? They're going to say, "Wait, you didn't do the right number of frets." I always get really confused about this bit.
All right.
There you go. There you go.
You still should have drawn her on a bicycle.
That's 4. Here's the real one. Oh wait.
No, I haven't drawn in ink in too long. I'm too sucked in by digital.
There you go. 1. They're getting bigger now. I actually did that about right. Well, then there'd be some strings and stuff. You can't really see the strings. All right, she's wearing a really weird guess up. All right, I've had enough of that one.
Okay. We have 12 minutes. Bring out some new paper.
What's today's date?
27th. We've got 4 days till National Gorilla Suit Day. I got to air out my suit.
Oh my god, I'm not ready for National Gorilla Suit Day.
Better buy one.
All right, I have to cut my paper in half somehow. I did have some scissors in here. I remember that. I have to go get my scissors.
We need to have Amber on and draw so we can yell at Amber while she's drawing. Chuck?
Right.
Why do you keep your art supplies across the room instead of at your drawing table?
Getting warmed up now.
Chuck, why do you keep your art supplies across the room instead of at your drawing table?
Well, I have some of them.
Thing?
Because normally I'll do like my cutting and stuff over there, but you're making me do everything on the fly here.
You need a tablerette that you can wheel back and forth between the tables.
All right.
Okay. You got 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah. No reference. Come up with something. Now's the time for you to pull out that thick Sharpie.
All right. Okay. I like this girl here. All right. All right. Yes. All right. I'll do it in the thick one. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we have a no wash today. All line. God intended.
I've lost the thick one now. I'm running out of time. Quick. Oh, there it is. All right. All right.
So I've got to ask: is the mohawk because you're planning on going back to England to see the folks?
Yeah.
So that you fit in.
I don't know. I mean, that's just how my hair came out.
Okay.
All right. All right. This will be a good one. I can feel it.
Because I'm starting to realize your hair is starting to match your beard. It's just this stripe that stops at your nose, and then you have your eyes, and then it starts again at your forehead.
Wait, what are you saying? Tina was complaining about my sideburns yesterday because I don't have any. But I'm like, I don't have sideburns. I can't really grow sideburns. I'd like to grow sideburns.
What, she wants you to grow sideburns?
Well, she was saying that I didn't seem to have any. Like, she just noticed this fact after being married for 30 years.
Okay.
Whatever it is.
Chuck, I assume that you would know as a married man if she tells you to grow sideburns, grow sideburns.
I can't, though. That's the whole point. You can tell me to grow them. I can't grow them. I could get stick-on ones.
Well, yeah, you just go, or you draw them on. Ask Tina to draw them on with, well, you've got a Sharpie. We could do it now on camera.
Oh, that's weird. This is sort of bead device.
I like where this is going.
Oh, this bit's hard now. Wait, oh, hell. All right.
Do they have sideburns in England?
Yes.
They do. Because I'm trying to remember if the Queen had them, and I can't.
If the Queen had sideburns, no,
Yeah.
she doesn't. Does she? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think Queen has sideburns.
Had, past tense.
Yeah, now we've got good King Charlie, and he's doing a good job. Everybody likes him.
Well, he just came out of the hospital. He was.
Did he? Oh no, he's not going to die already, is he?
I don't think you could afford another coronation.
Well,
you know,
I thought that was a big money maker.
You know, they kept the Queen alive with body doubles for like 20 years.
No, I didn't know that. I never heard that.
Well, yeah, it's like when they replaced Paul and the Beatles.
All right. I don't think that happened.
Now everyone knows that.
Okay, where did they find another Paul McCartney who was just as talented as the original Paul McCartney?
Supposedly, it was a Canadian policeman, but they had to perform.
Okay.
They had to perform plastic surgery on him, and they know that it's a.
And he just happens to be as talented as the songwriter.
Not Paul, because when you compare photographs of the ears, like everyone's ear is different. The ear of the later Paul McCartney does not match the ear of the earlier Paul McCartney.
So he didn't just have some ear surgery then?
No, they didn't do ear plastic surgery back then.
But they did do a whole face transplant.
Well, he already kind of looked like Paul McCartney.
All right. So that's more believable to you than he had like some injury to his ear that necessitated this minor surgery.
Okay, you know, if you're not going to believe what everyone knows, I mean,
it's not that I don't believe it.
you're talking like a flat earther, Chuck.
I'm a flat earther now. I'm the opposite of a flat earther. I'm
Well, that's actually what my strip's about that Amber wants me to finish. I've decided to go
about being a flat earther.
I've decided that there's more money in being a flat earther. I'm not making any money right now believing it's round.
I don't think flat earthers are really coining it in.
Well, they have T-shirts and mugs. I mean, there's merch. I mean, except for globes, is there any merch for round Earth?
Merch?
Yeah, it's all about the merch.
I would say yes. I'd say there's plenty of round Earth merch. I would say that, yeah, I mean globes, but I mean you go everywhere. Like everywhere you look, there's a picture of the Earth. It's round.
Yeah, but how many of them do you like buy and own? I mean, I see flat earthers with T-shirts and hats and stuff, but
I've owned more globe. I've owned several globes in my lifetime.
You own one now.
You know what I do? I have two in my office, and I have a Mars globe.
I didn't see those.
Yeah, there's two globes in my office at least.
I guess I need
possibly
to go
three.
You know, the problem is when I visit you, I don't pay any attention. Now you gonna do something on her lips?
I might do. I'm going to do some more shading on the hat here. Hang on.
Bear hurry, you have 4 minutes.
Okay, don't worry. Don't worry. Everything I need to do can be done within those 4 minutes.
What are you gonna do for lunch?
I haven't had time. I barely had time to wake up and have breakfast before I started the show. I certainly haven't had time to think about lunch. I know it's becoming a feature of the show where you ask me what I have for lunch, and I don't have any good answer for you.
I'm tempted to go out and get pancakes.
I don't know, something happened with the scale of the hat got too small. I'll figure that out somehow.
So that reference photo, the model is a nose piercing through the septum.
It looks like it.
That's in now, I've noticed.
Yeah, everybody has that. It's like when I went back to England a few years ago, everybody had hair buns. Now everybody's got like nose piercings.
Well, I have been thinking more about a man bun.
You've been thinking about having a man bun.
Well, I saw Sergio at various conventions, but I don't know if he still does that because I haven't seen him on YouTube recently.
So you don't have to do everything Sergio does. I realize he's a sort of heroic guy that you want to emulate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if I emulated you, I'd be in a basement right now with a mohawk.
Yeah. With that.
Using the metric system. That's the thing that I can't do.
You can't use the metric system, no matter what.
God, no. I'm an American.
Yeah, God forbid anybody should do anything in a sensible, rational way in this country.
Yeah, I should be using qubits. No, you didn't go to art school. Were you ever introduced to the measuring system of points and picas? Because you worked.
Yeah, only when I came to this country. No, I don't know. I think maybe when I did do that bit when my first job in England, actually, where I was doing. I mean, my first sort of design job. But,
have you even used points and picas like in the last 10 years?
Well, I've never really used them, but I sort of got them. I mean, my first job here was in a print shop, so I had to sort of know those things. Yeah, it was my business to know.
Okay. Yeah, it was like my business to know Macs when I sold them. I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, some of us take our jobs more seriously than others, I suppose.
Yeah, I never did.
No.
Although I could sell you an extended warranty. That I took seriously.
You one of them?
Yeah. Unabashedly so. You know, that's fascinating what you just did with the lips. I mean,
Is it?
Just that shading, bringing it into the third dimension.
Yeah, I'm going to do a bit more that way.
And it's simple. Great, people are sending me messages.
Oh yeah, anything. The show's over. Can you stop?
Show's
now?
over. Yeah. Amber's
wondering,
still streaming. Hang on, maybe Amber.
Get on with your homework. The show's over.
Yes.
Hang on. I'm not done yet.
She hasn't responded. No, she hasn't responded. Oh, yeah, I want pancakes.
I'm going to put that one down with wow, a Chrysler. Things Americans say.
Well, you don't have pancakes in England, do you? No, wait,
Yes.
you do. You have something called Pancake Day.
When I go back to England, they're going to say, what's it like? What are Americans like? And I'm going to say, they say things like, I want pancakes. And wow, a Chrysler.
I'm never going to live that down.
It's just the way you said it. It was like formality. It was like as if you have to say good morning.
I think I was more impressed by the Chrysler than the robot golf carts.
Yeah, you could have been being assaulted by a robot golf cart.
Look at the robot golf bags. That was amazing that they were controlling their robot golf bags with their cell phones.
I know, it's so nutty.
After the apocalypse, they're going to be wandering the wasteland with their guns and their robot golf bags. Now, are you going to like send me messages and stuff while you're in England so I know how you are?
Well, I can do. I wasn't.
I want a
I was
daily
probably
check-in.
planning on just sort of hanging out with my folks and forgetting all about the traumatic experiences I've had living in America.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna get my Britishness charged up again.
Yeah, you can go eat eels and whelks and whatever.
Steak and kidney pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Bruder said he was going to make me a steak and kidney pie. He hasn't done that yet.
Oh, that sounds great.
It is great. I love steak.
You can go to the shops.
The local shop. Oh, they've got a good new bakery in where my parents live in Old Basing Village. Apparently, the Old Basing Bakery. People are coming from miles around to go there.
Is it what kind of bakery?
Like just sweetmeats, I suppose. Just
Sweetmeats.
bakery. I don't really know.
We have all sorts of bakeries down here, but they're often we have everything from Middle Eastern bakeries to Portuguese bakeries to Vietnamese bakeries to Japanese bakeries to Chinese bakeries. But if you just like want a cake, there's not that many bakeries.
Yeah, this is England. They don't really go for bakeries.
Well, that's because you boil everything. I mean, how do you boil a cake?
Exactly.
Oh, wait, she's saying something to me. Oh, she's
giving you some recipe on how to boil a cake.
Who's sending me messages?
Well,
we're going to wrap it up. Wait, she sent me something. Hang on. No, that isn't her. I don't know.
One of your other art instructors.
I think it's just angry people yelling at me on Facebook. You didn't put a shadow under the nose.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
And under the lower lip.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Well, there's really a lot in the reference there. Wait, where's my lighter color?
That was an interesting thing that Doug and Judy brought up talking about Ogloff, which is Trudy, not Judy. Trudy will deliberately minimize the facial features in the characters that are in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Which will also exaggerate them.
Right. That's
all right.
Well, I think that's done anyway.
Okay. Let's keep going for another hour.
No.
Too
tired.
Yeah, that's because you stayed up too late. He did see me doing that for the show. It's really well done.
All right. That's just a quick one with a fat pen. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We didn't get many comments from anybody today, but all right. Or maybe I'm just not
We
seeing
got to
them.
see Amber.
Yeah, except from Amber. Thanks. I don't see those either. So anyway, thanks. If you've been watching, cheers. And be back again next week. I'll be here a couple more weeks, and then before I'm disappearing on my holidays.
Hey.
All right, so here's the theme tune. See you next time.
Bye.
Theme song for Chuck Whelon Showy. He asked me to write one, but I stole from David Bowie. Here's a theme song. Chuck Whelon is the best. We have lots of hosts, but we're running out of gas. Will you be our guest on? Will you be our guest on? Beyond the Chuck Whelon Show. Whoa, 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 whoa.